We don't hear anything.
All right, I think we now we do have a quorum, Peter. Can you confirm that?
Chair, we are 6. We're actually 1 member short, but I mean, we're first going to have a presentation. So I suspect we can carry on and hopefully another member will join us in the meantime.
I saw Lehwase.
Yes. It's yourself, Chair, Mr. Lehwase, Mr. Nkosi, Mr. Mare, and Mr. Motsumai. So that makes it 6, Chair.
Okay, now if I start, because the sitting is going to, the plenaries are going to finish around 6:30 or so. But the colleagues in the meantime, I think the whip, Comrade Tabo, will in the meantime try and check if we cannot locate 1 or 2 of the members to join us. All right. Yes, Mr. Murray.
I'm also trying from my side to get in touch with my colleagues.
Oh yes, please do.
So
Please do. Yeah. So that, okay, no, please do. If we can have that. No, thank you so much. But we can start, yeah.
Yeah, that we can start, yeah. Thank
you. Okay, no, thank you so much.
Tabo,
we can start.
Yes, Chair. I'll try to locate them in the meantime.
Thank you so much. All right, colleagues, welcome and thank you very much for your attendance. Let me appreciate the attendance of the minister, the SANDF, and her delegation to this meeting. And this is the agenda for today as it stands. Is item number 1. It's a briefing by the Chief Human Resources on the initiatives by the SANDF to enhance gender parity and youth development and related structures and mechanisms to support these initiatives. And number 2 is a follow-up on the issues related to the letters from General Holomisa. And number 3 is consideration and adoption of the 2021 JSCD Annual Performance Plan. Number 4, it's consideration and adoption of the outstanding minutes. Number 5 is just a follow-up on arising from the previous minutes. Peter, on number 5, these are internal issues that we don't need people from any support from the department on item number 5, isn't it?
That's correct, Chair.
Yes, okay. So it means that we only have 1 item that requires the presence of the support from the department and the ministry.
Yes, Chair.
Okay. No, it's fine. I wanted us to be clear on that so that when they withdraw, they they know that they would not be needed again today. I mean, until the end of the meeting. Let me start. We'll take the briefing on item number 1. And the item number 2, I will simply table the letters that I sent out. And on item number 2, we're not discussing it. Then we did number 3, 4, up to 5. All right, let's start with item number 1. Minister, over to you, ma'am. You may want to preface the presentation with your opening remarks.
Thank you very much, Chairperson and honorable members. Chairperson, I have the Chief HR, Admiral Kubu, with his team here. And what we will do is to take you through. But I think it's important, Chair, because on the other day, I could not finish my speech, just to indicate that part of what, of course, it was submitted to Hansard, just to point out that, Chair, there are some things which we had, issues which we had covered in the speech, issues such as, for instance, the numbers of senior management managers we have in the Department of Defense, both in uniform and also in PSAPs. But also, as you will see here, there will be a classification in terms of the population groups here, which we are giving to you. And then, of course, the issues of gender, but also Admiral Kubu will talk to issues of youth programs, which we are trying to introduce, and what it is that we are doing to get more women into the leadership of the Department of Defense. Chair, I should say that I know that a matter did arise in the debate, which is that we still have very low numbers, that we have not reached a 50-50 parity. I think it's important, Chairperson and honorable members, to point out to you that the environment of the defense is not an easy environment. I can assure you, without sounding defensive, that at the level where I am, with regards to appointment of women as brigadier generals, as major generals, one has tried her best. However, really, all of this should start at junior levels. It should start right at the lowest, where people take conscious decisions that they will take women to courses like they take men to courses, that they will empower them, so that when the time for ranking, promotion and ranking, you have as many women as is possible. But Chair, if you compare to really the past, you will see that there is great improvement, Chair. However, as I say, it is not as easy. I think even it was not easy, even, Chair, to finally identify a woman who could come in and be a 3-star in the South African National Defence Force. But of course, this is not something which is out of the ordinary. This is a problem in all defence forces, but we're trying our best, Chairperson, under very difficult circumstances. We're pushing the policy of government of gender parity, but of course, I've also been engaging with women at levels of the colonels, at levels of the generals, just to say, as they rise, they should lift those who are below and rise with them. So, Chair, I now hand over to Admiral Kubu to take us through this, this presentation. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Minister. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Minister of Defense and Military Veterans, and Chair of the Joint Standing Committee on Defense and the members of the committee. Good evening. The Minister has already started with the opening remark that I would have started with also if I had to start the meeting. But I also want to confirm that we have been fortunate in the Defence Force, in particular the SANDF, to have had our minister who's been pushing the agenda of equity and gender representativity. And that has been what has been driving us in the last couple of years since you assumed the post of the Minister of Defence. And I think that also helped us to be in a position to have improved from what probably could have been difficult in a few years before probably she taking over the reins as the Minister of Defense. What we're going to be presenting to you today, you'll see that it actually talks about the improvements since 1994 to date. And we also want to acknowledge as well that, yes, we're not where we're supposed to be, but we can confirm that there are processes in place, interventions in place to actually improve in terms of gender parity. And with the recent appointments, etc., and the ones that are coming, that I'm finalizing in terms of the kernels, in future, this committee will realize that what we're saying is not just a talk show, but it is indeed what we actually pushing. General Murray, who's the custodian of transformation in the department, who reports to me, has presented this presentation on our behalf, and she will be taking us through. And then after that, through the minister, we'll take questions and clarities. General Murray, you can continue with the presentation.
Thank you, Honorable Minister of Defense and Military Veterans, and thank you, Chairperson of the Joint Standing Committee on Defense, CHR, thank you. I would like to start with the background where I'm stating that the Principle 5 of the Defense Review 2015 states that the DoD will strive to be seen as representative, equitable, and gender-aligned national asset. This principle applies that the DoD must broadly reflect the national population group and gender compilations. The UN, again, the UN Security Council Resolution 1325 also urges.
Are you reading the slides?
I'm not going to read all of them, sir. I'll just, it's just this part, but the rest I'll just interpret what is going to be on the slide.
Yes, but I can see we are still on slide number 1 or 2, background.
Yes.
We are fine with what is on the screen right now.
Yes, it's okay. Fine there, sir.
I thought you were reading through, but the slides were not moving. Okay, I'm fine.
No, it's the same. It's the right slide.
Okay.
I will indicate when I need the slide to move.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. So can we move to the next slide? Maybe jump the aim. We can go through to the revised DoD equity targets. Yes. Before 2015, the DoD came up with the approved population group targets for the DoD was 74%, 12%, 13%, and 1%. But when we went back to look at what the country, or how is the country group targets, it is the Africans should be actually 81%, and whites 9%, coloreds 8%, and Indians 2%. But then with the gender equity, what we also said that we can go up to at least 30%, although the ideal percentage should be 50%, which is what we are striving to get. And the other one that is very important is the 40% of female at entry level, so that when we go up, we will see with the numbers, the more when we recruit members, some of the members who usually falls out, and at least if we have 40%, we can be able to go and reach the 30%. The next slide, please. If we look at this, the DoD is gradually progressing to be seen as represented, equitable, and a gender-aligned asset for the Republic of South Africa. The graph shows a significant increase of Africans from 38% in 1994 to 76% in 2020, and notable decrease of whites from 45% to 11% in 2020. Colors decreased from 4%, and Indians remained constant. The equity status per population group by 31 March 2021 stays the same for all. Thus, it is evident that the DoD has made significant improvement to achieve the desired overall equity status in terms of the population group representativity. Next slide, please. In this next slide, we will see that for 2020-2021, we have again the total number of Africans as 76.24 and coloreds as 12.09, total whites is 10.36 and Indians 1.31. Next slide. In this next slide, the DoD has almost reached the target of 70% of males, fallen short of 2, and has exceeded the required targets of 30% female by 2% in 2020. And this is going to, when you look at the uniformed and PSAP members, you will see where it is balancing. So in our next slide, it will show both uniformed and PSAP. Next slide. For the period of 2021, the DoD has succeeded in achieving the overall requirement, what I said earlier on. Therefore, you can see that we've got 68%, or about 69% and 31% on the other side. But then you will see this figure. Why do we say we have 31%? Because now the PSAP is going to change the whole situation. Can we move to the next one? This is the uniform members. The uniform members, you can see that it's 28%, and the male is 72%, which we have not succeeded in achieving the 30%. But like what the minister indicated earlier on, is that with the military, it is a very difficult number. Actually, we will struggle to get to that number. What we actually did in one of our courses, we went into a study where we looked at some of our countries within Africa and outside, and we found out South Africa is actually doing better. Although I can't say we fine, but it is actually doing better than other countries, because we are reaching our percentages, most of them we exceeding the 25%, and some they are actually less. The next slide, let's look at the PSAP. The PSAP, the members that are not on uniform. This one is the one that is actually a very good example, where there we don't have an issue. We have 54% of women and 45% of men. And we have actually, this is the ideal for the DoD. And these numbers are actually also assisting us in the whole numbers. Can we move to the next one? The figures reflect up to 2020-2021 financial year. The new appointments are not included in this because now we're still waiting for the others to be appointed. There will be a substantial increase of uniformed members, like what is Admiral could be saying, that they are still going to promulgate some of the appointments, and this slide is going to change tremendously. The next one, next slide. In this next slide, you can see that we have a level from level 12 to level 16. If we look at level 12, which is colonels and captain navy, we are 21%. I don't know whether if you can see that when we go up to brigadier generals, which is level 13, it has improved, but it has not improved for the following year. But then with the appointments that we made this year, this has changed a bit, because what we found out that in these appointments, we had 80% male and female 20%, but this was not worked into this presentation. And according to this one, we have already included the Lieutenant General that was appointed now recently, which we are actually very proud and excited about having one of the women being part of the MC, the military command. The next slide, please. This is gender status combat and combat support. We're struggling to get members to be to stay in this in this masterings. Why I'm saying that, I can give an example of pilots or fighter pilots. If we look at a pilot, when they come in at a very early age, and training a pilot takes about 10 years the most, and after that the member will have about 6 to 7 years his prime time. But then if it's a female, that particular member will want to go out now. We're talking about the fighter pilot, will want to go out now and start a family. And once they start a family, they are definitely going to leave and be able so that they can start their families. But now, seeing this picture, this is going to assist us in making sure what we do is we recruit more of them, so that when they leave, they can we can have more members that are already trained. Next slide, please. Next slide. In this next slide, we have a Joint Senior Command Staff Program. This program enables members to be promoted to go to level 12. And the idea here is that why I brought in this slide, it's because we need to have more members that are going to be, or that should be qualified as to have qualified as Joint Senior Command Staff Program, so that we can have more to choose from. If we train less, then it's a problem. But what we are now what we have started to do now is making sure that members that are going on course are at least 40%, to make sure that we have more members that are qualified, and hence we will be having more members that we can appoint to become colonels. And the next slide. This slide is about the defense attaches, members that are deployed outside the country. We have 25, it's a good percentage, although we remember we need to strive to have at least 50%. The only thing that I can mention about this one is that I think it was last month, we had interviews for attaches for our next cycle. In this next cycle, members who applied to be attaches, apparently there were about 80% of female and 20% of male. And this is going to actually assist us to get more members. And that means this picture will change a lot for our next round. The next one, next slide. This one is the military council. Go back one, I think. Go back one again. Okay. This one is the military command council. The military command council consists of 87% of male and 12, or let me say 13% of women. The Military Command Council it does not just, or you don't just appoint members. It is a post that takes you to that particular council. So this is more difficult to ensure that it goes up to 30%. But the more we appoint people at the bottom, females at the bottom, and the more we train females at the bottom, it's going to be easy to appoint them to be in this military council. Can you move to the next slide? In this next slide, note that it is about reserve force members. You can note that with reserves in the DoD, we get specialists that must be recruited within the DoD. And the services are also making use of young NCOs to do guard duties. And some, especially the reserves that are being deployed by the Army, are the young members of the Defense Force, and they are contributing more on the reserve force collapse. But again, the DoD had to reduce mandates, and this is going to affect the call-up numbers, because now once we reduce the reserve force or the mandates, that means we are also going to reduce the number of members, and that might even affect this numbers that we have. Can you move to the next one? This is just showing the percentages, which is the 24.35. It's actually not that bad, but like we were saying earlier on, we're striving to at least have a better number. The next slide. Gender distribution with people with disability. We thought we should bring this one up. The DoD has a total number of 341 officials with disability who disclosed their disability status. They are composed of 56 females and 283 males. This constitutes a 0.46 of the total DoD population. Of these officials, 275 are uniformed members and 64 are PSAPs. The DoD currently does not comply with the government imperative, which stipulates that people with disabilities must constitute 2% of the total workforce. It should, however, be noted that due to the nature of the military in South Africa and worldwide, the attainment of 2% target will always remain a challenge, because we don't recruit members with disabilities. We have our own members that we get in the DoD. The next slide, please. In this next slide, we have the external and internal deployments. The external deployments, if you look at it, we have about 16%. That 16%, we actually doing better with the UN, because now the UN has got 13%, and we were actually, during our meetings with them, we had meetings in March and April, where the meeting was called Action for Peacekeepers. In that meeting, it was indicated that South Africa is doing very well, although we know that we are striving for the 30% and eventually the 50%. The internal deployments, we also have about 21%, that are deployed, and this number will actually increase, although the number of these internal ones are mostly reserve force members. Can you move to the next one? Now, if we go to the youth development achievements, the Defense Intelligence provided study opportunities for young members without any post-matric qualification. A course was designed by the Military Academy and Stellenbosch University for the Defense Intelligence Studies. And this actually improved our numbers for the young members of the Defense Force at the university. 30 members were accepted, for which 12, which is the 36%, were female and 64% were males. We also have done the Men for Change seminar as part of the 16 days of activism. And this, we're also going to do it this year. We did the two youth seminars, and we completed the draft national youth strategy during interdepartmental consultation. Next slide. The planned youth section programs, the Department of Defense Youth Section will host the Men for Change seminars all over the country. We're going to be going to all the provinces dealing with the issues of gender-based violence. And this will be done in collaboration with South African Medical Health Services, Director Social Workers. Section Transformation Management will also establish a DoD weekly book reading for young people in the department. This will go a long way in developing and producing a reading and well-informed generation. We are also planning to visit the military skills development system when they start with the course. And with these members, we usually go and deal with issues such as victimization, sexual harassment, and other related issues. And this also includes things like HIV, and to make sure that members don't forget that this is still alive. The next one, please. The DoD Youth Fun Walk is in collaboration with the DoD Sports Section, will also take place on the Youth Day celebration. And we are also going to do the 10-kilometer, 15, 21 marathons again in collaboration with the sports section of the DoD. The next slide. Going back to the achievements of the youth, we successfully implemented the DoD internship program in collaboration with HR development. This, among other things, includes university and college graduates. The group that was interviewed for this particular internship, that they actually got quite a lot of members from the universities. The other thing that I need to mention is that in the previous years, I think 2-3 years back, we have members that came through a URTP, that is the University Reserve Training Program, where we had members that are at the universities and recruiting them while they are studying. We used to bring them along and they will do some courses in the Defense Force. And at the end of the day, some of them we used to admit them and they became members of the Defense Force. The next slide. Challenging facing women during deployment. We thought we should bring this one in, although this has been discussed at the UN level. The infrastructure and building, accommodation with regard to the bathrooms and showers facility is a challenge at the deployment areas, because they are at sometimes required to share them with their male. Because now what they say is, when these places were established, a lot of women were not part of the deployment. Now that they are part of the deployment, more space is needed. But the UN is aware of this because it was discussed now recently about these issues, and they are going to make a plan of how they can assist with this particular issue. The other thing is the biological and physical differences. Women have sometimes, we don't have this problem in our country or within the country or within our bases and units. But when they go out of the country, it is very difficult to have those ship-ins and all that. But because the Defense Force is there to assist, but it cannot be able to assist the whole country in the DRC, because most of our members are in the DRC. But this issue was indicated to the UN, and the UN is looking after this, and they will actually assist members. It's not just about South African members, it includes all the other members who are deployed in the DRC. And the other one is the psychological and social impact. We are very fortunate, again, this is actually a positive one, where when members deploy, they have psychologists and social workers that deploy with them to be able to handle issues if they do have. And we sometimes have the social workers and psychologists that are still in the country that will visit them and just to ensure that things are still in place, and they assist them with their social issues if there are any. The other one is the masculinity and patriarchal attitude. Those attitudes are there, and we still dealing with them. And the more women we are going to appoint for being officer commandings, this is going to change slowly, because this it's something that is rooted from long time ago. Can we move to the next slide? The DoD achievements, it is commendable that up to now, the DoD has overall achieved their population group and gender equity targets. Thus, all population group targets are represented, although not on all ranked levels. The South African Navy, actually all the services, they have actually managed to appoint commanders and officer commandings in their bases and units. We do have figures of that we can also indicate, but what is good, what the Navy and Air Force and the Army doing at the moment is that they are appointing mostly the 2ICs. If there is a officer commanding male, then they try to make sure that the 2IC for that battalion or for that base should be a female. And when you look at their command councils, they always make sure that even the warrant officers or the RSM of that particular unit, they try and put in a female warrant officer to be able to assist with the command or assist the commander. I think it was last week, I visited one of the courses, the warrant officer courses. If I may say it, after I don't know how many years now, I think since 1994, it is the first time that we have more than 10 women in that particular course that are training the RSMs. And it was very commendable to see them with good spirit and you could see, even I stayed with the presentation, the members that were presenting were actually even women that were presenting and explaining the scenarios, which encouraged with this, and this encouraged us that at least something is happening and we are pushing so that we can be able to have that number that we require. Then the equity status per gender for the DoD uniform and PSAP shows that female representative achieved at overall target of 31.38, which is also an accomplishment. The first African female from SAMS was appointed as Chief Defense Intelligence with the rank of Lieutenant General, effective from 1st June, was something that the whole DoD was excited about, and we'd like to thank the minister, our minister, to actually push for this thing that it happens, and it has happened. The next one. Next slide. Next slide. Okay, I'll go on. The initiatives to address challenges. Transformation programs and events focus on empowerment of the DoD officials in the areas of social cohesion, diversity management, gender equity, disability equity, transformation leadership development, youth development, the eradication of sexual harassment and sexual exploitation and abuse, and the DoD values, shared values and ethics. Appointments of more female soldiers as 2ICs, I have actually indicated that, where we have appointed a lot of 2ICs so that they can be groomed as future commanders, and identified women empowerment programs, skills development for officers that are earmarked to occupy higher posts. This may be done internally or external. We have identified skills development programs, but the issue now again is that we don't have enough money to be able to complete these courses because they are very expensive. So, but we were actually assured that money will be added to CDTM so that we can be able to train more members. The next one is, can you move the slide? I've completed that one. Yes, the mechanisms to support initiatives. The promotion of gender equity and equality is addressed through the following programs and events: the gender conferences, where different topics are discussed and empower the women that are in the Defense Force. It's not just about women. Also during that time, we also invite male to be part of this so that we can get a balanced or we can get balanced information during these conferences. We have, it's not Chief SANDF's, if I may please correct that particular one. It is the South African National Defence Force Women's Parade that we always have. But because of the COVID, we have stopped it for now. I'm not even sure even this year there's a possibility that we might get it, we might do this, we might not even do it. It depends on the restrictions. And we also have the Men for Change seminars as part of the 16 days for the for activism celebrations. And this program is usually done by the youth, and they are the ones that are running it. We have recently just started the Women and Men's Forum, where we as senior officers try to bring up our young members in the Defence Force. One of the things that we thought we will be doing in this particular one is that each senior officer will have to get at least few members, at least about 10 or so lower ranks, and mentor these members, train them in some of this. We're not talking now about the formal training. We're talking about informal one. Advise them and make sure that when they are faced with issues or when they're faced with challenges, we are there to assist them as senior officers in the Defence Force. Can we move to the last one, I think? Yes. In conclusion, the endorsement of transformation, including gender mainstreaming and the implementation thereof by the South African National Defence Force at all levels, have resulted in the advancement of previously disadvantaged groups. Transformation in the DoD is proceeding well with the support of the military system, even though an attractive exit mechanism was lacking. But now, fortunately, the minister has signed that we can be able to activate again this exit mechanism so that we can have a young defense holding the fort of South Africa, of the country. I thank you. I think this is the last one. If there are any questions, I think there will be some questions. I will hand over to you, Chairperson, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much for an outstanding presentation. This is indeed a good story to tell. You know, I mean, the equity status per gender, which shows that female representativity has reached an overall target of 31.38%. I mean, it's an accomplishment. I agree with you. It's a difficult environment, but despite all that, you have been able to achieve this remarkable percentage. And you've also indicated that the improvement is at all levels, not only at a lower level, but it's going up the rank. That today, for the first time, we now have a female lieutenant general. It's really a legacy. Minister, you have done exceptionally well. You have actually made us proud. You have been able to achieve this without, compromising, the efficiency or effectiveness in the military. And thank you very much for that. Colleagues, may I get May I invite your comments? I'm looking on the screen to see if there are any hands. Ms. Mutise.
Thank you so much, Chairperson. Let me also applaud and appreciate the work that the DOD has put on, the efforts that have made in making sure that indeed we achieve the gender equity or gender balance that we desire to achieve. It is also safe to say, Chairperson, that the numbers are still low, though. We can see an improvement. We are not yet there where we want to be. I also want to ask that in between the ranks, what is the age gaps between males and females, particularly in senior ranks? Your warrant officers and your majors and colonels. Is there a particular age gap, or you'd find that a warrant, a colonels of males are at the peak of the ages, and you'd find that female officers are a bit younger. So I wanted to understand what is the age gap, or they are more or less in the same ages. I also want to make a comment regarding the succession plan. I think the DOD has not yet mastered that particular matter. We need to have a proper succession plan ahead so that we can then deal with the backlog of the waiting list for senior positions, particularly your general and chief positions. I can tell you that the list there on top is full of males who are waiting in line for their turn to become generals and chiefs. Therefore, you could imagine that the longer we take to deal with that backlog on top, the longer it's going to take for females to can fall on top of the list, to can be better positions to take over in those positions. On youth development, I'm interested in finding out if the military academy universities courses or qualifications that they provide to members, are they equivalent to the civilian higher learning institutions? For instance, a 3-year degree that members in uniform acquire at the military academy, is it equivalent to a civilian bachelor's degree? I'm asking that with an interest of knowing that when those members acquire those skills in the military, will they be able to can compete in the civilian streets with those qualifications? Will they be able to be absorbed by the system outside the military? Will they be able to compete with people who have acquired those qualifications from the civilian higher learning institutions? And also, will the private sector be able to absorb those members who acquire those skills in the military?
Thank you very much. Still on the platform.
Yes, sorry, Chair, for taking long. The JSCD course, which qualifies members for those senior commanding positions, I feel that we also need to then expedite the period which, particularly for female members. We know that for them to be able to occupy OC positions, officer commanding positions in units or in bases, they need to then be able to have this course. So I'm saying, instead of allowing female officers to wait longer for them to can go to training for these courses, rather let's expedite the period. If no, ordinary or normally it would take a captain or a major to do this course after they have been in a rank for 5 to 6 years or more, rather let's then limit the number of years that female officers have to be in a rank for them in order to can then qualify to go and do this JSCD course. In that way, we will then be able to have more female officers who are qualified to are ready to then occupy senior positions or commanding positions. Also, I want to emphasize on the fact that we need to allow members who are at the retirement age to exit the system in order to deal with the backlogs that are there. I think a lot of particularly male officers, they stay longer in the system, long after their retirement age. You'd find a colonel who's 64, 65, waiting to be promoted to a general and so forth. And that then causes the backlog. So we need to force members and allow members to really leave the system at the right retirement age. I want to check also that the ship-ins, are they being provided to female members who are then are in the training fields? I know in the DOD there are specific periods that are planned for members to go and do their practical work or their training with live ammunitions and their weaponry, or just to sharpen that skill. And particularly in your Luhata in the Northern Cape and your Diebreg in the Free State. So I want to know that do the DOD then provide those ship-ins during those training periods in the fields for female members? Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much. Colleagues, I'm going to leave the platform for about 30 minutes. I'm going to do it now. There's an urgent meeting that I have to attend and then come back. Thabo will take over. Thabo, the next speaker is Kenny Motsomai. Kenny, take the platform and Thabo will continue the meeting. Thanks.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, I just want to say I appreciate a million for the minister, the job well done. O minister, more anything bomme ba masole in the high-ranking officials. Yana after na we it le kana moena a etsa gore re be le masole a di thinking. Marhago ina masole at general, most of generals because the change the change for my military veterans. Since minister I get phomelela gore ba be le dintlu ba be le mo ba khonang go robala teng, especially the military veterans. Even though this the loki ba ne le one mesebetsi ba idoko por minister I shebisise hape le taba ya gore issue ya SRD e boele tiriso batho ba rona ba khono thola tšhelete ya bona ba khono go tseba gore ba i-check engwe e ntumedisitseng haholo ke ya gore le bana ba ma military veteran ba kgona go tsamaya di-clinic within the department of military veterans. On all the ministers,
Mr. Mutle? Mr. Mutle? Is Mr. Mutle still in the meeting?
Yes, I'm still in the meeting, but the system is kicking me in and out. Can you hear me, Honorable members?
You're breaking up, sir.
Am I audible? Am I audible?
It's very, the quality of the voice is very
Yeah,
bad.
we
Actually
can hear
impossible to
you.
follow.
Yeah, I'm struggling because of network here. Am I
Where
better
are
now?
you?
I'm in
we
the
can hear
village.
you. We can hear you, but not much, Honorable.
Okay,
I don't know where.
I see the hand of Honorable Bucas.
Thank you, Chair. Can you hear me, honorable members?
Yes, no, you can proceed.
Thank you, Chair.
Yes.
Chair, I also want to commend the department on the appointment of the first female officer. But I want to know, are there any other sections in the SANDF where women are underrepresented, and what are the plans that they have in place? And to address that. Then the second one, Chair, is did they do a comparison with other countries' military forces on female representation, and where are we standing in comparison with them? Then my last one is, Chair, the programs are impressive, and it shows that they really want to address the battling issues like gender-based violence, sexual harassment, etc. So, and also to cultivate a culture of reading. But what is the impact of those programs in defense? And can they see the type of the change in the type of defense that we want? Thank you, Chair.
Yeah, thank you, Honorable Bucas. I think you were the last hand that I have noticed. I will, before I hand over to Admiral Kubu and his team, I'll also pose a question to get clarity on or an understanding around the gender parity issue. I just want to find out if they have a program or a target by when are they going to meet the standard requirement in terms of gender balance, because I know they are doing their best to ensure that females within the force are finding expression, and I've heard the Admiral indicating that they are happy with the progress that they are making. But by when are they going to actually say that they have met the 50-50 gender parity within the overall or around the overall force, National Defense Force? It might not be at the senior level or only the junior level, but looking at the overall force that they have, including the civilian section within the DOD, because that is very important for us to understand, so that we can be able to take stock as to how far are we in terms of achieving that particular objective. Yeah, thank you very much. Over to you, Admiral Kubu and your team.
Thank you very much, Acting Chair. I will deal with the others, and I'll leave to General More, who's the custodian of the processes that she mentioned in her presentation. The first one that I wanted to deal with is the one asked by Honorable Modise on the issues of rank, whether there is, rank gaps between males and females. I can confirm when we recruit, our minimum requirements is 18 to 26 if you don't have a qualification, and obviously if you do have qualification, it's 26. There is no discrepancy in terms of that. We stick to that age requirements, and everybody that joins us should comply with those age requirements, whether it's male or female. We don't have a different age group for either one of the genders that we just mentioned. So we can confirm that there is no serious gap disparity between men and women in the military, especially now SANDF. All of them are treated the same in terms of age, and then we deal with them according to that. I also, however, want to mention that the integration, when we join the 7 forces, we must also acknowledge that most of the people that were coming from the non-statutory forces were already of a certain age group, and that obviously seemed as if, and then most of them were also male. We can confirm that. And I think that disparity is the one that probably people might think that there is probably a discrimination in terms of age, or maybe even thinking that most of the male might be even of a superior age than the females. But that was the legacy that we were dealing with, which is not really the case in terms of how you do your promotions of appointments, etc. But yes, we had to go through that process of integration, and most of the people that integrated, especially from the NSF, yes, we're already in the middle ages, and then unfortunately, it took time for them to even qualify in all the other functional and military courses for them to be considered for further promotions after they have been issued the ranks during integration. But that's a legacy that we had to deal with. And I still believe we did very well even there to deal with this particular impasse. We couldn't compare in terms of the age with regard to people that were coming from the SADF, because they were already progressing in terms of the age, and then that was not really a big issue. But I'm happy to say that with the new recruits, there is no problem. And then even the people that integrated, although they integrated at the late stage and then their age was unfortunately not in their favor, there were certain intervention that we had to do, and then obviously to make sure that we accommodate them. And maybe it also goes to the issue that was mentioned about keeping people long after the retirement. I think Honorable Member must also understand that yes, that's another intervention that we had to do. Most of the people that come from the NSF did not have sufficient pension as well. And now we want to be open about it, because if you join as an integratee and you only have 5-10 years to serve, you can immediately see that your pension is not going to be that much. We accept all the other dispensation with regard to the pension, where we recognize the years within the non-statutory forces, which was accommodated, and they were recognized. But at the end of the day, it still was not enough to allow the member to retire with good pension. So we had to look at those issues, and maybe that's where the other issues of extension came in, where there wasn't really no opportunity for us, or we didn't obviously want to allow people to retire at the time without sufficient pension. But also equally, the succession planning as well at the time, if you did not do that as well, you would have already also probably appointed people in the former SADF, because those are the people that at the time were ready to progress to the next level as compared to the non-statutory force member. So there was supposed to be a balancing act in terms of making sure that there is representativity through all the ranks, but don't just obviously retire people quickly because they they're already at the age of 55 or 60 and let them go, then you would have been in a difficult situation as well. So yes, I want to confirm that in terms of the age, that there is no age gap, but yes, there were certain situations that was under consideration that probably might have implied as if, males are probably more, senior in terms of the age as compared to female. But that's definitely not the true reflection of how we do, our succession planning in the military, where age is a determining factor. I've touched already on the issue of succession planning, Honorable Modise, in terms of, the backlog, and then, the issues of the backlog in terms of, the top structure. And then I think it goes to exactly what I just said, to say at the time we did not really have an option, but we had to extend services of, other members that we believe that they still also were going to add lots of value to the organization. If we did not do that, we could have lost, a lot of people that had got so much attributes and so much input to make in the military by virtue of the age. But we back on track again with succession planning. I think the recent appointment confirms that. Fortunately, the Defense Act does allow us to appoint people until 65. So even if they were already over 60, we're still within the confines of our laws, in particular in line with the Defense Act, to have appointed people until 65. The issue of the military academy, I can confirm, Honorable Modise, to say military academy is like any other institution. We're getting the qualifications from Stellenbosch University. Is a faculty of Stellenbosch University. So the qualification that we're getting from the military academy are issued by Stellenbosch University and is being recognized everywhere. You can actually get your bachelor's degree in military science, and you can do your honors in any other university, even your master's and your doctorate in any other university. So you don't even need any further credits to do your higher qualifications or postgraduate qualification when you come to the military academy. And we can confirm there's so many of our people that studied through the military academy that also became lecturers in the universities, civilian universities that we have got in our country. And some of them also occupied very senior positions. I can even mention one particular example to the committee to say, Dr. Kanyile, Moses Kanyile, is one of those members that I can talk about. He studied at the military academy. He did his junior degree at the military academy and his honors at the military academy. But then he went out and did his master's and doctorate outside. And then I think all of us knows his profile. And he did not have to have any other further requirements to do the master's and doctorate qualification. And then I think he's the person that's known to the committee. That's why I wanted to specifically mention him by name. So I can confirm that this is the degree that you can use anywhere, whether it's in the private sector, or the public sector, or in institutions of higher learning as a lecturer. On the question of the Joint Senior Command and Staff Program, yes, I can confirm that we have been doing it where we did consider females to be considered outside, the time that they would have qualified to do the Joint Senior Command and Staff Program, and they have been accommodated on course. The flip side of it, which I need to mention, is that if you also move them quickly to Joint Senior Command and Staff Program and they've not finished their functional qualification, the functional qualification is what you need to perform in your own specific mastering, then there will also be a gap there. Our training regime is so structured that you have to complete every single program that talks to your own functional mastering or discipline before you even do your Joint Senior Command and Staff Program. So it means if somebody just come in the system, has to be fully qualified to perform, for example, as an engineer. If you come as an engineer at that level before you become a lieutenant colonel, where now you qualify to go and do Joint Senior, which is only the promotion for the next higher rank, which is your colonel's rank level. But even if you do that and you did not do all other courses, you will still have a gap and you're still not going to be considered. So it's a structured training regime that we normally follow, which probably might be seen as a delaying factor before people go to the Joint Senior Command and Staff program. But your qualification in terms of the rank to a Lieutenant Colonel is not even Joint Senior Command and Staff program, it's your specific functional requirements that you require to perform at that level. I will leave the one of the Chabin to General Muri, and then the issues of the I think there was the other one of the impact of the courses, then I'll come back. General Muri, if you can address these two, I will come back and answer the others.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Acting Chairperson. The one of the shippings, I actually indicated that we do have, the Defense Force has got a capability of making sure that members that are deployed or at training facilities, like in Luata, they do have them. What we, our log support section, they do have, I don't know, maybe one day when we are able to visit there, you can be able to see the type of equipment that members deploy with. Those equipment, they've got almost everything. It's a unit on its own. It's got washing machines, it's got everything is part of that unit. So they do have them. The only thing is when we go outside the country, that's when we struggle. Although, like I said, the UN is aware of this issue, and they indicated that they will do something about it. If I look, the other question was about the programs that we give to all the members, the MSDSs and all that. What my section has got a particular section that is called evaluation and monitoring. When we do these presentations and you go and talk to members, after some time, maybe 3 months or so, this section will go back and check if this thing, or if they understood and evaluate to make sure that the DSs or the directing staff or the members themselves, they do understand it. There are questionnaires that they are given to be able to fill in. We also have the IG, the Inspector General of the DOD, who is also part of this whole thing. They also go to bases and units. When members go back to their services or back to their bases and units, that's when the IG sees them and evaluate what or where they are. Then that report is usually given to the military council, and then it will be taken down so that we can improve on certain things. We also, as transformation management, we work with the Inspector General so that we understand, or we make sure that we don't miss out anything. The other one is about the comparisons with other countries. Yes, we've done that. At the moment, I can't give the right information. I don't want to give information that I'm not sure of, but we do it when, for instance, the course that I said I visited last week, they actually were given a task of looking at other countries, how they look, and they have to look at our country and compare it. So I have not seen what are the results of those, but we do have that, and they do go out and evaluate, or not evaluate, and give check the comparison of our country and other countries. And it's not just in Africa, within Africa, it's also the outside or maybe European countries. But we usually like to at least look at Africa itself so that we can compare ourselves with that. I think, as I've given the two questions that were asked, the ship-ins and the comparisons and the programs. Those were the three that I think I can respond to. Thank you, Chairperson.
Yes, Chair, if I can come back again, I did touch, Honorable Modise, on the issue of that people must be exited. I did give the reasons why sometimes we push until 65, but we can confirm now that the exit mechanism is back on track again, which will obviously allow us to be able to exit both uniform and civilian members. The Minister has already signed off the exit strategy. And then from the 1st of April, we can actually exit those members that we are comfortable that they can be exited out of the system. So yes, we will be looking at that. And then the intention is obviously not forever to continue with, the approach that we have been taking. Obviously, that was forced by certain situations that we continue extending other people, which for us at the time, we believe that we did not have a choice. But I think as people now start exiting, and then we've gone back to the normal succession planning, and also that now we don't have, the challenges that we had before in terms of exiting certain members that we felt that we still require the skills and knowledge and expertise. We will be able now to exit those members. From Honorable Biegas, I can confirm that there has been studies that we have done in terms of representativity with all the other countries. We proud as South Africa that we actually been regarded as probably the country that really takes the issues of gender seriously. If you go abroad and then they ask you about, how many percentage of female we have, and we say 28, they almost like saying, how do you get it right? And some people, even are scared to even say, asking us whether it's just a compromise or what is the situation. And we say, no, females are doing all what we require them to do, and they can perform in any position, and we are comfortable even to increase the numbers. So we are taking the lead when it comes to really appointing females in the SANDF. Even our DAs that are in our countries, these are the questions that they always ask us, because fortunately this information is there, and then people can see exactly what is the percentage of female in, and then they're still asking us, how do we get it right? So we are taking the lead in terms of this particular issue. And then we're proud that we still want to obviously move forward and make sure that the figures that we have, put for ourselves, the target that we envisage, we must actually be able to achieve. The question that was asked by the acting chair, Honorable Mutem, in terms of, when are we going to achieve gender parity? It's difficult to talk about the timelines that we put in for ourselves. We can confirm that we're doing very well, but the 50-50 that we're talking about, we have not documented it yet in our department. We're still working on 30-70 in terms of gender parity. That's the target that we have been putting for ourselves, and as you saw in the presentation, we're already at 28. So we're close to achieving the 30-70, which is being documented. The 50-50 split, we have not documented in the military. Hopefully, we will be sitting soon and revising our targets accordingly. And once we have revised our targets, then we will obviously be moving forward. But we still obviously working according to the 30-70 split that has been documented. But it is possible to do the 50-50 split, especially taking into consideration that females are more in terms of our demographics of the country. They're already at around 52%. So it should not be a problem to get the numbers of females that we want if you look at the demography of the country. So, but I can confirm that it's still not yet a departmental position yet to do 50-50 split, but it is something that we're discussing amongst ourselves, and we should be able to come with the final position going forward. Chair, I think we might have responded to all the questions, unless if I missed one, and then I can hand over to the Minister. Minister, I did not want to touch on the question from Honorable Mutsamai on the military veterans for a particular reason, because I thought maybe they would have been represented to respond to some of those questions. But I do have an idea what is happening in the military veteran, but I was not sure whether this is our space to respond to the questions from Honorable Mutsamai on the matters of the military veteran. I will hand over to the Minister to give guidance on this one.
Yeah, thank you, Admiral Kubu. I don't see it. I think the Minister is no longer with us in the meeting.
Chairperson, can I say something?
You are noted, General. I was just indicating that the Minister, I think, left the meeting. Military veteran that was raised here. We note that that matter, but I think it will be relevant to pose that question to when we invite the Department of Military Veterans. They will be able to respond to that particular question. It will be unfair to expect Admiral Kubu to respond to that question. Let's give the opportunity to General Holomisa.
Thank you, Chairperson and colleagues. I think we should be looking at the future of the SANDF. You will recall that, in fact, you will notice that the rated in 1994 are old today. And we don't seem to have invested a lot to the well-educated troops we have today. We have a lot of students, who were trained militarily, who have got academic qualifications. That is a plus for those individuals already. But what we should be looking at in future is to call for the Service Commission, Defense Service Commission, the HR of the SANDF, and indeed the leadership of the SANDF, and ask simple question and say, where do you see SANDF in 5, 10, 15 years? Because most of you will not be in the office and you will be gone with that experience. But we may have to look at intensifying the training of the juniors we have today, even if it means we have to select amongst them the future military instructors. They can get a basic training here for courses for military instructors, and some would be attached to countries which have got the same systems with us for a period of 3 to 6 months, and they come back and impart those skills. On the ground, we need to make sure that the infrastructure of the SANDF is improved, where, for instance, you'll find that there are colonels and brigadiers and generals who are unable to access or even open a computer. So the future of the SANDF, you must make sure that if you want to be an officer, you must be IT compliant in the first instance. We are no longer using the old methods. Even that of doing a map reading practically you don't have to rely on that. These days you use Google. These days you make an appreciation, intelligence appreciation, military appreciation, and so on, basing your argument or your plan on what the IT is telling you, which is accurate. So I would suggest that this committee must be briefed, one, on the syllabus of the SANDF for officers. Why do you take 6 months, I'm making an example, to produce an officer instead of 13 months? And so on. What syllabus is there? We are now busy with the peacekeeping. Does the current peacekeeping, current syllabus cater for peacekeeping programs? Lastly, the issue of gender parity. If we are serious about that, this is an opportunity where we can say we want these juniors who have got graduates, who are graduates rather, we want them to send them to school, to the training, and follow various streams. But the advantage there is that you can immediately address this imbalance of gender parity issues. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, General. I think in addition, I wanted to also get a clarity from Admiral Gu. What are the prospects looking at your force structure? What are the prospects of having a chief of any arm of service within the command structure who's less than 35 years old? Basically, I'm meaning who's young, because you have made mentions of the fact that demographics are indicative in their nature, that women, for example, are over 50% in terms of the population, and it is also indicative that in terms of those demographics, young people are in majority. When are we going to have young people occupying the high echelons of the command structure? What are the prospects in that regard? Thank you very much. Over to you.
Chairperson, my hand is also up.
Oh, okay. Sorry, Honorable Mare. I did not notice. You may come in.
Thank you very much. Firstly, I just want to support your last point with regards to the young people or younger people, because I've got to believe that if you can do the job, you are old enough. And obviously, if you can do the job, you're young enough as well. So that's a very, very important point, because we need a young and a vibrant defense force. Admiral, I just wanted to ask, you are dealing with demographics now. The government has got a outdated objective of persons with disabilities that must be 2% of the employment of the workforce. I've not heard once that you've mentioned about persons with disabilities, and I know that you can refer back to G1K1 to up to G4K4. However, there are different sections in the Defence Force and different tasks, and we know that there are many of these tasks that can easily be fulfilled by people with a disability. It might be an amputated arm, it might be visually impaired, it might be a slight cerebral palsy, which will make them still very, very competent for most of the jobs in the Defence Force, except for maybe infantry. Have you ever considered anything? Because I cannot recall that I've seen you reporting on persons with disabilities. Just your feedback and view on that as well.
Chair, must I come in, Chair?
I'm not sure. I just want to check. Honorable Murray, I thought you were breaking. Have you concluded?
No, I've finished. Thank you, Chair. I'm finished. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Honorable Murray. No, you can take the platform, Admiral Ku.
Thank you, Acting Chair, members of the committee. I've taken note of the comments from Gen Holomisa, and I do support them. I think we need to obviously take stock in terms of the entire training regime in the SANDF, and then obviously benchmark with other countries. But I can confirm that some benchmarking is already taking place. We're already sending up learners, especially at the junior rank level, to Russia. We've got people studying at the cadet training in Russia. And we also have been sending people now the last 2 years to Cuba, and we continue with that. Yes, I think we're learning a lot as we go along, especially with Russia. I think we actually getting a mileage that we want, because if you look at their training, and also maybe also mention Cuba as well, if you look at their training, when they finish, they fully fledged, having the qualification to come even and function. And it talks from basic training, which is your officer's course, and then your functional training. So that obviously is helping us to start thinking, how do we position ourselves as a SANDF to have the same caliber of people. I can confirm now the requirement that we had from Russia, which was last year, which we could not send people, was around 40, which they wanted us to send from cadet to qualification. That would have taken 5 years of our cadet to train there and come back with a. But yes, I do support the proposal that Gen Holomisa has made to say we need to sit and take stock. I can also confirm, Gen Holomisa, that I had been having a number of interaction with the Service Commission. We have been having lots of meetings together. I think to date, if I'm correct, I might have had 5 meetings with them. And most of those meetings are also trying to align ourselves to a lot of issues, including the service benefits of our members. But training is one of those other issues. They've already requested me also to support them in terms of the people that can assist them with the research. And some of this research that they actually want to pursue, it talks about the whole DOD in terms of how we want to revise, our processes, our curriculums, etc., because they believe, and then which I also support, that they can actually do much than what they're doing now, and supporting us and advising us. So those interaction between myself and the Service Commission is actually very, very positive, and we had good meetings with them to date. Yes, I want to now go on the issues that you also raised about prospects for 35 years to take command. I'm not quite sure whether I must say it's possible or not possible. I'll say this in this spirit to say, if you look, if somebody comes, let's say, and I want to talk strictly to somebody that comes in the military at the age of 18. If you are at the age of 18, you're basically going to do all your functional training, and only the first program talks about 2 years. Okay, as a second lieutenant, you can be 1 year, and then as a lieutenant to captain can be 2 years. But after that, there is a minimum time in a rank that we factor in the system in terms of our promotion policy. But also, if you look at that as well, it takes an average to qualify, and then I did this calculation, to qualify to a rank of major, at least the minimum of 14 years, to qualify full in terms of your functional line. And then after that, you'll be a major, and then that time, if you look at it, you would have been close to 30 already. If you come at 18, just over 30. I think it's the intensity of our training regime that creates a problem, not necessarily that you would not have somebody that can come quickly and then obviously be fast track and get to qualify. But even there, it might be somebody who really, I would say, the IQ level is likely very higher than everybody else and complete all the courses very quicker than anybody else. We did factor the issues of, outcome-based education in the SANDF and say, don't delay people that are very quick. But I can confirm to this house to say, to date, I cannot really say I have seen any one of us that could actually take command at the age of 30 today. But maybe I must also still look at it in a different way, especially if people come, because even somebody that will come with a qualification, I'm going to use an example of an engineer. An engineer study for 4 years. 4 years is the period that you need. But most of the engineers, they take between 5 to 6 years to complete their qualification, and that's the real statistics. If you really the sharpest engineer that complete quickly, it's going to be 4 years. And when you come to us, you're already at 27. If you look at it in that context, then what are the chances that at 35 you would have completed all your other functional courses and also do all your other training that you need to progress from one rank to the other, because you'll still come as a sub-lieutenant. So maybe the 35, I would say it will definitely be difficult from where I'm sitting, but yes, probably the early 40s, 45, yes, you probably can talk. I might even just want to say 45, maybe you can have somebody that can take over as a chief, but it must be a high flyer throughout the program. It has not happened because my 45 years normally in terms of my process, if I look at how we structuring our program and all the training that we need to do, you can only become a one-star at least at the age of 42, 43, at least if you're a high flyer. You have not even been the service chief yet, talking about the 3-star level yet. So, but we will obviously map it, nothing that says we must not look at it and see how it can, but I think for now, 35, I think, yes, maybe when Chair, you were saying probably 50, probably I might say yes. That 50, I think is possible. But I'm not saying let's write it off and don't say it's not possible. But we will look at that and see whether that is possible to take up strictly as a, become a 3-star or even become the CSNDF. But the other rank level from 1-star to 2-star, it is possible probably at the age of 45 for now. Honorable Moray, yes, I know you were supporting the acting chair on that issue. Let me come to the one of people with disability. We end up in a difficult situation to recruit people from outside to join the military with certain disabilities. And then I'm not talking about, the slight issues of not seeing properly and you can wear your spectacles or one of your thumbs is not working or your finger is not working. I'm not talking about those ones. I'm talking about somebody probably on a wheelchair, etc., because when you're going to do the basic military training, this person will not anyway be able to do all the training as part of the basic military training that one has to do. You can compromise in terms of the other functional courses, like in your HR, if somebody comes with a qualification, etc. But I can tell you, Honorable Marais, to say, people are also not, and then I'm saying normal person, does not want to be promoted because of, you exempted from doing every single thing. People want to be proud of the qualification. They want to be proud that I've done every single thing that I was supposed to do, and I deserve to be where I am. And people with disability is always a problem for us. Yes, we have got a court judgment already that talks to this issue, High Court of the Northern Gauteng High Court, that said we must not use the blanket application of G1K1N1 And then since the judgment, we don't necessarily use the the blanket application of G1, K1, N1 because we were told that we are discriminated, and we accepted that. So it's not that everybody that we take must actually now be G1, K1, N1, but somebody can be G1, K1, N2. But obviously it means this person does not have to do every single thing, but obviously they must still do others in the basic military training. But you can imagine if really you go for somebody that's really on the wheelchair, what type of basic military training are you going to give? So those are the dynamics that we're dealing with as a military, but it will not even, these people will not also go into what we term the critical mastering, but then you would have not even put this person through the whole training regime that everybody would have been able to do. But yes, we accept it, and then the court judgment is there, so we respect it, and we know we don't have to use the blanket application of G1, K1, and with caution, we're seeing how we effect this judgment to be able to come to the 2% that we're talking about. But also, we must also take into consideration that most of our people, once they are in the system, because of the nature of our deployments, etc., they also get injured, they get hurt, and then they got shot, and all the other things that goes with it. And those are the people that we don't exit. And we don't exit because they've already served the country and they've done well for the military. And the intention is we reclassify these people and we use those people, in their own unique mastering, most of them. We have got people that are wheelchair bound, that are uniform members. I can even mention some of the names that I know, that are uniform members that are really going to work and they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. But you find that at least they have already passed the stage of the basic military training and other functional courses. So those are easy to manage. As to whether you can take them straight from street in a wheelchair and want to make them officers or non-commissioned officers if they've not done the training yet, it's going to be a mammoth task. But yes, we will, and we still believe the 2% that we're talking about, if we get it already from the people that are already serving, to look after them and to make sure that they stay in the military and we don't kick them out of the system, I think that will be the noble thing to do, rather than recruiting directly from there. But I'm not saying we mustn't, but I'm just putting my own facts in terms of my understanding about the 2% and the complication that will have to do basic military training if you have to do it in that context. Chair, I think I probably have addressed all the questions.
Admiral, I just want to say thank you for your response, and if you ever need any advice or guidance, you know where to call.
Absolutely. Thanks, Mr. Roy.
Yeah, thank you, Admiral Kubu, for those responses. However, on the youth question, I think you must go back.
I think Honorable Mutle is muted. Honorable Mutle, you're muted.
Oh, no. Thanks, Honorable Marie. I was indeed muted. I was talking to myself. Thank you, Honorable Kubu, for those responses. But I think you must take home with you the fact that we are not happy with your response with regard to issue of young people. I think I'm saying this because myself and other colleagues are a product of youth struggles. And we are here today because of those youth struggles. And we owe it to them to ensure that we advance that struggle even within the South African Defence Force structure. I wish Minister was here to also have a bite on this matter, because it can't continue to be correct that the command structures of the defense force will be led by people who are above 50. And that says a lot about the success, the succession of the defense force. Meaning people must wait up until they are 50 and serve for 10 years. Most of them are occupying the command structure at 55 or 50 something. They serve for 1 or 2 terms and they are out of, they must retire. So I think you must go back and relook into that and make it a quota. I think if you can make it a quota, as you have indicated that currently with regard to gender parity, you are looking at 70-30. If it becomes a quota and your policy position, you will then be able to work it out that such that within the command structure, it becomes compelling for you to have young people in your structure that will be able to gather that necessary experiences and pave a way for young people to reach those level within the national defense force structure. So you don't necessarily have to respond to this question. It's something that you must take home. We'll also raise it with the minister when she is present in the meeting, that it can continue to be correct. If it's systems that are a problem, that are suppressing young people, they must be changed with immediate effect so that there can be expression. Because our understanding is that development of individuals differs from one person to another. Therefore, it can be correct that we standardize development. There are those who develop faster than others, and the system must be able to allow them to develop faster and progress according to their level of developmental capabilities. So it should not be a system that suppresses them, so forth and so on. So yeah, with that being said, thank you very much, Admiral Kubu. I think we can then move to the next item if there is another item. Yeah.
Acting Chair.
Yes.
Yeah. The next item is just the follow-up issues related to the letters from Gen Holomisa. Mr. Kaba asked me just to explain to the members what happened. Subsequent to our letters that I've distributed to members, both on the email and on the WhatsApp group, subsequent to those letters that we sent out first to the minister to give us a paragraph by paragraph response, and the letter that we sent to the former Secretary for Defense, Dr. Gulube. They came back to us and they said that within the timeline that we gave them, they will come back to us. So that is where that specific issue is now. We are awaiting the responses from them. And as soon as we receive that, we'll put it on the program and then we'll discuss it. So that's all that from my side with regards to issue 2, Acting Chair.
Yeah, thank you. Is there anyone who wants? Yes.
Can I assume that we can log off from our side? I didn't just want to log off. Are we done from our side?
Yes. I've sent a message to say you are released. But yeah, it's fine.
Right.
You are released from this meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thanks, members of the Joint Standing Committee of Defense.
Honorable members, I think the brief was that given with regard to the letter concerning the former SANDF Dr. Kulube. Any questions, any input with regard to the matter?
No,
Chair.
Chair, all that we now can do is wait for them to respond, which is before the 25th, and then obviously we must apply our minds then.
Yes, I agree, Chair, with Honorable Marie.
Okay, thank you very much. I think we are in agreement on the matter. Was that was it Peter? Was that the last item?
No, Chair. No, Chair. There are about 3 other items. The next one is the consideration and adoption of our annual performance plan, which Dr. William will do. And the other 10 minutes, and then this is a follow-up from other minutes.
Oh, okay. Okay. No, it's fine because the system was kicking me in and out. I will take guidance from you. Yeah, let me hand over to Dr. Willem to actually present on the item.
Thank you.
Dr. Willem?
Yes, thank you, Acting Chair. I just want to share my screen with the relevant document quickly. If you just hang on a second. Is it visible on your side, Chair?
Yeah, it's visible, but it's not a full screen.
All right, I will stretch it a little bit. Okay, I hope it's visible now. We'll just go through the main points. Acting Chair.
Perfect now.
All right, thank you very much. I will just go through the main points of the draft annual performance plan, which is for adoption tonight by the committee. Members will recall that 2 weeks ago, Peter presented the strategic plan. And from that strategic plan, we derived the annual performance plan for the committee for this year. So this is the plan for the year. And yeah, it's just for adoption today. Members will also recall that this is exactly based on the discussions from earlier this year during the planning session in Pretoria. So the main key issues to take away from this, I'm not going to do it verbatim as members have received this. It's just to go through the key issues. Firstly, the APP of the committee focuses on the strategic plan of Parliament. And here it looks at the mandate of Parliament as an institution, the vision of Parliament, and the priorities of the 6th Parliament. And I think it's important to note here one of the priorities for the 6th Parliament is the desire for greater responsiveness and accountability by the executive that will require Parliament to strengthen oversight and involvement. And specifically thereafter, it will require deeper scrutiny by committees. And I think that came out in this in the planning session for the Joint Standing Committee of Defence, the whole issue of deeper insights into issues, and what this committee then phrased as deep diving into specific issues. Thereafter, the APP focuses on government policy guidelines, and here members are very familiar with the National Development Plan and the medium-term strategic framework, and how the Department of Defence and Department of Military Veterans fit into those plans, the National Development Plan and the MTSF priorities. In terms of the committee itself, the plan just provides an overview of the applicable legislation to the committee and the various rules of the committee that is applicable and directs the committee's mandate. And here we will just some highlights that the committee will report to both houses on the employment letters of by the president. Also, if there's a state of national defense, we'll consider it. Reports from the National Conventional Arms Control Committee, reporting to both houses on civil-military relations, on some aspects related to military veterans, and perform any other function and exercise any powers assigned to the Joint Standing Committee by statute or in terms of resolution of the houses. Thereafter, not to dwell on this, the mandate of the two departments that the committee oversees, Department of Defense and Military Veterans. Thereafter, the APP highlights the customers or stakeholders of this committee, which members are very well familiar with, as stated in the list there, as well as the members and support staff. I think it's important to get to the next section, which is the key business objectives of the committee. And here, an important function of the committee is to draft the following reports. That includes minutes on the quarterly reports of the NCACC, minutes on the annual report of the NCACC, the committee's annual report, minutes on meetings within 3 days, that's the adoption of minutes, oversight reports within 5 days, study tour reports, research information, and procedural advice. These are the targets. And if we get to the, this table that you see now will be broken down in the next section, and these are the focus areas that the committee decided on to focus on during the workshop in Pretoria. And firstly, there's always a legislative function of the committees, but in case of this committee, there is no, this committee does not pass and consider legislation, so that is not applicable. However, the oversight function, as we saw, is really important. And here, key oversight aspects to be focused on include the consideration of deployment letters. And you will see that there are targets put here for the year, but that is obviously subject to change as and when the president submits his letters of deployment of the SANDF. Furthermore, the committee will consider in each quarter the NCACC quarterly reports as well as the NCACC annual report, which we just considered quite recently. And then members will recall when I started going through the APP and Parliament's priorities requires a bit of deep diving. And during the discussion in Pretoria, the committee decided that it will use this platform, being the Joint Standing Committee of Defence, to deep dive and focus on specific issues. And one of the specific issues that was highlighted there was the succession planning investigation. This was highlighted during the engagement in Pretoria as one of the key issues for deep diving into by this committee. However, this is up for discussion by the committee. If you and members can consider whether this is the key issue that they would like to delve into in the third and perhaps fourth quarters of this year. This was decided in Pretoria, but things might have changed, and there may be other aspects that the committee wished to engage firstly before getting to this. But that could be led by you, acting chairperson, if there's a discussion necessary on this. In terms of military veterans, a smaller focus area, but the committee said it would like to focus to do oversight visits if there's opportunity for that in the fourth quarter, and then progress with the provincial offices is on schedule for the following quarter. Public involvement, also not a major aspect, but something important that is scheduled for the next quarter is again a focus on civil-military relations or a symposium so that this committee can report back on the state of civil-military relations in the country to the House. And lastly, as was the case envisaged with the portfolio committee, perhaps a joint oversight visit to the DRC in the fourth quarter if conditions allow. So, Chair, I will stop sharing this, but that is the proposed APP as per the discussions of this committee in Pretoria, and it's open for further discussion from your side. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. This system is, I'm not sure whether it's my network. It has kicked me out a bit. I've missed some part of your presentation. But it's fine. I will then allow colleagues to interact. I see the hands of Honorable Murray.
Chairperson,
Honorable Mare.
Thank you very much, Chair. Thank you. Yes, again, a brilliant work by Valaram. Thank you very much. And by Peter. The only thing I want to raise is the deep dive issues. And I know that we have identified that one issue, but I think members might recall I have written to the chairpersons on 2 occasions. One of that was about the apparent internal problems in terms of capacity of the Defence Force that was caused by Denel. Now, you will recall that one letter, that internal letter, which stated that there was a huge concern about the aircraft platforms as well as SAMLs that was of a high risk. And I've written to the chairperson to ask whether that can be an urgent deep dive issue, because that affects the heart of the Defence Force. And if there's anything that we can do to investigate and maybe come up with recommendations of how Denel's inability to look after those assets can be substituted or replaced by maybe internal mechanisms, you know, then that is our responsibility to do that. So that was one issue that that I have raised with him. So I hope that we can do that. Yeah, that's the request. Otherwise, the report is absolutely fantastic again. That's all from my side.
Thank you, Honorable Murray. Honorable Ryder.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chair, I'm going to ask a bit of a tongue-in-cheek question, if I may, and if Dr. Willem can maybe tell us where gender parity fits into that. Yeah, I was a little surprised to see it on our agenda tonight, but nonetheless, Chair, yeah, I'm just wondering if there's a little bit more scope for us to discuss what Mr. Murray has touched on, but the issue around the sustainability of the Defence Force. You know, it deals directly with the armaments and the morale. That falls directly in our mandate. I'm not sure if we're emphasizing it enough. And I'm just wondering if it could be emphasized in this particular report. Maybe it's the wrong place. I'm happy to take a response. Thank you, Chair.
All right. Thank you, Honorable Ryder. I don't see any other hand. Yeah, I'll hand over to Dr. Willem for responses to those two I'm not sure, questions and inputs.
Thank you, Acting Chair. I think the decision ultimately is up to the committee to decide whether they would like to focus on that issue around the impact of Denel on the Defence Force. And I would tend to agree with Mr. Ryder in the fact that this falls squarely within the provisions of this committee according to the original interim constitution. But the decision is ultimately up to the committee. It is a key concern, and it speaks directly to the capabilities of specifically the Air Force, and it could have a significant operational impact. That being said, it is a decision that you as members of the committee should make. It's easy to change. We can just adjust the schedule for the coming term to focus on that and put that on the schedule and request briefings and deep dive into that issue. But the decision is ultimately with the committee. I hope that assists.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Willem. I've seen the chair is back in the meeting. I would like to hand over to the chair, and I think we have exhausted. There's no any other hand on the item, we can then move to the next item and the chair will proceed with his meeting. Thank you very much. Over to you, Chair. You are muted, Chair, if you I'm not sure whether you are able to hear what I'm saying. Am I audible, colleague?
Yes, Mr. Mute.
Yes, you are.
Oh, okay. I see the chair is the meeting, but okay, let's proceed. Let's proceed. Because seemingly he does not hear me. Let's proceed to the next item, which is consider. Yeah,
Can I just ask what is our resolution now on this point?
Or consideration of the adoption of the report. You are correct. I was just ahead. Can we move for the adoption of this report?
Including my proposal and Dr. Wilhelm's response? I so move.
Yes, with amendments.
Okay, I so move.
I second it.
Who's seconding? Honorable Mare is moving for the adoption of the report with amendments.
I second it. Can you
Oh, okay. And Honorable Mutamai is seconding. Thank you very much, Honorable Mare, for alerting me on that omission. We then move to the next item. I'll just wait for it to appear so that I don't.
Chair, we're just asking Gunther to load the minutes of the 11th of March first.
Oh, okay. Let's then deal with the minutes. In front of our honorable members is the draft minutes of the meeting that was held on the 11th of March 2021. That is the agenda that we dealt with there. Committee members present, it indicated there. Parliamentary support staff, you can scroll down, present, those who are present in the meeting, and other attendees into the meeting. You can scroll down from different entities. The meeting was opened by the chair and the agenda was adopted as indicated there. Move to the next page. Presentation by the NDIC. Move down. Implementation of the Defense Sector Code. You can scroll down. Resource-based alternative funding model. The next page, you can scroll down. Designation of small caliber weapon and ammunition. Let's scroll down. Task team on Tinel. Let's scroll down. Scroll down. Scroll down. The Defense Industry Fund. Scroll down. On the 6th page, presentation by Arms Corps. Financial challenges. Arms control asset tracking system. Questions that were raised by members. Scroll down and presentation by Aerospace, Maritime and Defense. Scroll down. Inputs and responses, as they are reflected there. Scroll down. Recommendations. Then the meeting was adjourned around 9 o'clock, 21 hours. I have not seen any hands. I think colleagues are in agreement.
I move for the adoption. I move for the adoption, Chair.
Yeah, Honorable Murray is moving for the adoption of this minutes. Any seconder?
I second, Chair. I second, Honorable Bartlett.
Honorable Bartlett is seconding. The minutes are duly adopted as moved by Honorable Murray and seconded by Honorable Bartlett. Thank you very much. Do you have another set of minutes? Yeah, the next set of minutes was the draft minutes of the meeting that was held on the 18th of March 2021 on Zoom platform. Indicated there is the members that were present in the meeting. Can we scroll down? And parliamentary staff attended. Attendance from Department of Defense and Military Veterans. The chairperson opened the meeting as usual, and the agenda was duly adopted. Presentation of the letter from the president. Let's scroll down. Then we had discussions.
Sorry, Chair, just
yes,
on the bottom of page 3.
Honorable Ryder.
Sorry, Chair, just at the bottom of page 3, if you can scroll back up slightly, please.
Yes.
Just a small note in that last line on page 3 is that included in the 208 reduction is a company of MPs. I think we should change it to military police, because I think if we put MPs up there, we'd be in serious trouble.
Yeah, no, we can just put in bracket that maybe the first sentence where we deal with military police and put in bracket the abbreviation, so that the entire when you go through the body of this minutes, you know what MP refers to.
Yeah, it's military police.
Yes, as long as you have written it in full on top or at the beginning of this minute and abbreviated it, it will be very academically, it will be sound. Let's proceed. Impact of the reduction on ability to discharge the mandate, reimbursement from the UN, the continued presence of Rafale attack helicopter, renewal of Operation Copper and Operation Corona, consideration of draft minutes was done there, recommendation. The meeting was adjourned at the 20th hour. Can we then have a mover if there are no amendments or additions?
Chair.
I move.
Yes, who's moving?
The Honorable Muzamai.
Honorable Mutamai is moving. Honorable Mafanya second.
Thank you.
Is that now
Okay.
Mafanya, the son of Honorable Kaba?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, no. The minutes are duly adopted as moved by Honorable Mutsamai and seconded by Honorable Mafanya. Thank you very much. Honorable Kaba, are you able to hear me?
Yes, Chair, you may run it till the end. Thank you very much for holding the fort.
I want to give you back your meeting. I've been trying to give it back to you, and you were not available, or you did not hear that. I'll appreciate it. I think
I lost you, Chair.
What the acting chair is saying is that he's been struggling with his network, so he may take over.
Oh, I see. Are we
Yes.
not at the end? Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Mafanya. Peter, are we not at the end? How far are we?
There are two sets of minutes here, of 6 May and of 13 May we still have to do.
Okay. So this is the 6th of May, the last part one set. Oh, thank you very much. Colleagues, thank you. May we then go through the minutes? This were on the 6th of May, 2021. We're considering the letter from the president on the extension of employment of members of the SANDF in the Mozambican channel, letters from General Holomisa and related legal opinion. We also considered and adopted the JSCD 2021 second term program. We also considered and adopted the state plan and annual plan and the minutes and the follow-up. We dealt with some, I think we postponed the follow-up matters arising. All right, colleagues, this was the attendance. Any correction? There being none, can we move to the next page? Okay. Can you move 1.1, 1.1, correct? 1.2. Two letters from General Holomisa and legal opinion.
Just the last paragraph on page 3. Mare is spelled incorrectly.
Oh yes, please correct it. Thank you very much, Mr. Mare. Page 4. All right. Any correction? All right. Page 5, the last page. Thank you very much. That takes us to the last page. There being no corrections to introduce, may I get a seconder? Sorry, a mover and a seconder.
Chairperson.
I move.
Yes.
I move, Chair.
Mr. Yes, but before you move, is Mr.
It's Honorable Nkosi. I want to move for the adoption, Chair, of the minutes as correct.
Seconded, Chair.
You are muted, Chair.
Sorry, can you move? The minutes are duly supported, adopted, and we move to the next set. The minutes of the 18th of May, 2021. Again, briefing by the NCACC, briefing by the military veterans, consideration of the letters from the general and the related matters, and the APP and the minutes. Right, this was the attendance. Okay, move. All right, attendance. Go to the second page. Yes, sir.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, sir.
Chairperson.
Yes, sir.
Seemingly there, I'm not captured in the previous one. They must have rectify my attendance there. I'm not mentioned in both of them anyway.
Oh, okay. So please correct that, honorable members.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I can even recall what he said in both meetings. We deal with the welcome. Number 2, briefing by DMV.
The father is looking after the son.
Oh, very much so. Very protective. And okay, we're completing the second page. Let's go to the third page. Go down. We go to the fourth page. All right, go down. Fifth page. The last page. 6. Oh, okay, 7. Okay, seventh page. Thank you very much. Are there any corrections, colleagues? All right, there being none, can we adopt the minutes?
I move, Chair.
Ms.
for the
Pickers moved.
adoption.
Thank you very much, Ms. Pickers. Any seconder?
I second, Chair.
Ms. Modise seconds. The minutes are duly accepted. Thank you very much. Can we then move to the last item quickly?
Chair, this is the last item. Members will recall that there was a request that we should actually follow up. Chair, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
That we should actually follow up on some of the decisions that we make in the meeting. And so we sent the department a few issues that they should actually respond to. And as members can see there, on the 22nd of April, they then responded. Chair, and I'm not sure whether this has been distributed to members, but here is a list of responses. And the way they did it was according to the arms of service. So the first issue was there that raised with regards to our military health service, and it related to the oversight visit. And the question then we asked there is, what were their plans to address the issues of outsourcing of certain services at one military hospital? Because this leads to exorbitant amounts being spent on these services. And what I say that one of their risks is the retention of scarce skills, but due to issues beyond the service control, such as lack of proper facilities, like the incomplete ramp at one military hospital, advanced and adequate medical equipment as a result of low capital budget, available healthcare professionals make all the endeavors to do with less. Chair, I'm not sure whether members are aware of this document and whether it was distributed to them, because otherwise I'll have to go through it line by line.
I cannot recall that we have received this.
Oh, okay. We might. I think we might have dropped the ball on this one. Continue line by line. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Can I then request Peter to maybe distribute that to us?
And distribute it. Yes. Thank you so much.
Chair, the next point there from SAMS is just the minutes of 22 October and just progress required regarding a recommendation that the Defence Force Service and Commission had made. And this is what with regards to training for environmental services. And they're just basically responding there and say that they did indeed liaise with SAMS ETD as well as the military health training formation. And they attested that no correspondence actually been received. So that is something that we need to follow up. So there are quite a few issues with regards to logistics, because here they are basically providing us with their responses. And the first one there is an update on the plan and the projections to sweat assets to assist with the funding of certain activities. And here they just say that involvement of functions from public works must first take place before the DoD can embark on sweating assets to generate alternative revenue to assist the SANDF. So that is the response with regards to the sweating of assets. The next one, Chair, it's also related to our oversight visit, and members will recall quite a few issues were raised. And the first one is, what is the progress for applying from National Treasury a deviation with the conclusion of the ramp? And they say they are still in progress of engaging National Treasury in obtaining deviation to address all issues pertaining to repair and maintenance on the first floor at one military hospital. They are also investigating, exploring the utilization of the current MOU with the DBSA to partake in addressing these refurbishment matters at one military hospital. And the next one, Chair, is its progress in completing the construction and repair projects in order to attract and retain the much needed medical specialists. And they say the DOD and DPW have established a strategic interdepartmental task teams, which are jointly chaired by the DOD and Public Works to resolve communication protocol, substandard construction and refurbishment work, and other defense estate management challenges. The DOD is also investigating, exploring the utilization of the current MOU with the DBSA to partake in addressing these refurbishment matters at one military hospital. The next one relates to the problem with regards to suppliers that are sourced by DPWI, with substandard construction work being some of the recurring problems. And the response is, they are still in the progress of engaging National Treasury in obtaining a deviation to address all issues pertaining to the repair and maintenance on the first floor of one military hospital. The next one relates to a progress report in addressing the status of electricity and water supply at the main ordnance sub-depot in Walmansdal. Steps taken to mitigate these failures in future, and steps taken to enhance the security at the base. And the response is, firstly, that the water supply to the base was attended to and restored since 21st February 21. Secondly, the base is still without electricity since February 2020. And ESCOP indicated that they are aware of the situation and will address the matter during the 2021-2022 financial year. And the works formation is also monitoring the situation. The next one, 3, the lack of electricity poses security challenges as the unit is in darkness after sunset until sunrise. The backup generator was previously repaired by the Department of Public Works and Infrastructure, but it has since become unserviceable due to a severe oil leakage, which increased its fuel consumption. An alternative, smaller generator has subsequently been availed from the DOD and is currently being utilized to power limited support functions within the base. The unit is secured by duty personnel after normal working hours, which include roving guards. The next one from Chief Locke with regards to our minutes of 4 June is just the progress in addressing challenges with the living conditions of soldiers in Tabachuana military base. The response is the DOD, through its MOU with the DBSA, is currently in progress to execute an assessment on the electricity and water reticulation system within the Tabachuana area before any development or refurbishment of residential accommodation can take place. Second one, an indication on whether the Defence Force Service Commission made any specific recommendations regarding concerns around obsolete equipment and the lack of vehicles. And the response is that in terms of the obsolete equipment, the administration around the authority to appoint an auctioneer was completed by the Lock Division and was submitted to the government printers to be published in a government consent. However, the government printers indicated that the machine is currently out of order. This is causing a delay on the appointment of the auctioneer. The Lock Division is currently in process to investigate other means to advertise the tender. The last one, on Lock, regarding the lack of vehicles, it must be noted that this specific aspect is a service division responsibility. The next one, Chair, is from the Defence Legal Services on our minutes of 27 August 2020. And then the question was, Chair, the committee then requested that the code of conduct that has been drawn up subsequently to the COSAC judgment. And the response is that though the document is in the public domain, an official authorized hard copy is hereby attached. Secondly, the report on the court case of the break-in and theft of weapons from the SA Army Engineering Formation at Littleton military base in December 2019. And they just gave us their feedback and saying the case is currently ongoing and is scheduled to continue on the following dates. That is from the 5th to the 9th of July this year, and then also from the 19th to the 23rd July 2021. With regards to the defense reserves, our question asked was around an improvement regarding the implementation of the Commission's recommendation. And they say the Commission's recommendations with regard to the reserve were considered. However, due to consistent budget cuts imposed on the department, they were deemed unaffordable. With regards to the Military Police Division, related to our minutes of the 27th of August, the report on all weapons that were stolen from the SANDF since 1995. The feedback is provided as follows. Chair, there in serial number 1 in 1995, pistols, magazine, ammunition, 14. 2 in 1996, pistols, magazines, and ammunition, 18. R4 assault rifle and pistols, 10. 1998, pistols and R4 assault rifle, 12. 1999, pistols, 9. The year 2000, R4 assault rifles, pistols, ammunition, hand grenade, 14. 2001, R4 assault rifles, pistols, ammunition, magazines, 10. 2002, pistols, ammunition, magazine, and a 303 rifle, 7. 2003, R4 rifles, pistols, ammunition, magazines, 10. 2004, R4 rifles, pistols, ammunition, magazines, 11. 2005, R5 assault rifle, R4 assault rifle, pistols, ammunition, 11. 2006, R4 assault rifles, R5 assault rifles, pistols, machine guns, and LMGs, it's 10. 2007, R4 assault rifles, R1 assault rifle, and pistols is 3. 2008, pistol, magazine, and ammunition, 1. 2009, R4 assault rifles, 2. 2010, R5 assault rifle, R4 assault rifle, R1 assault rifle, and pistols, 9. 2011, R5 assault rifles and ammunition, 4. 2012, R5 assault rifles, R4 assault rifle, pistols, revolver, and the rocket launcher, it's 5. 2013, R5 assault rifle is 9. 2014, R5 assault rifles, R4 assault rifles, ammunition is 8. 2015, R4 assault rifles, pistols, ammunition is 8. 2016, R4 assault rifle, pistols is 8. 2017, R4 assault rifles, R4 assault rifles, R1 assault rifles, and pistols is 115. 2018, R4 assault rifles, R1 assault rifles, pistol is 14. 2019, R4 assault rifles, R4 assault rifle, R1 assault rifle, pistols is 37. And 2020, R4 assault rifles, R1 assault rifles, pistols, and grenade is 24. Chair, that is the end of this document that they've sent us.
Thank you very much, Peter, for taking us through the document. Colleagues, my apologies. I thought we had shared, we'd circulated the document. I know you are seeing it for the first time. I don't know what you want to do with that, whether you want us to pause on it and then take the discussion at the next meeting, or you want us, or you are ready to take a discussion on it right away. Can I hear from you?
Chairperson, my suggestion will be to circulate the documents, and I see on the one point there's an attachment as well. So I think it is only fair that we look at that, and if there's anything that we want to raise, that we can maybe raise at the next meeting. Otherwise, you know, it's very difficult to do something like that without something in front of you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mara.
At least an electronic copy.
Okay, Mr. Mara, thank you very much, Mr. Ryder. Is this a...
Sorry, Chair, I'm strongly agreeing with Mr. Maria. I think it's only fair on us and on the work that's gone into the document, you know, to just pass it on is not sufficient. There's been a lot of work put into it. Let's put our minds to it and discuss it next time.
So I then stand the matter down for next week. Peter, can you bring it up at the next meeting? So at the next meeting, there will be no presentation. We'll simply launch it. We'll simply go into the issues. Are we agreeing on that?
Yes, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much, colleagues. Thank you very much. So we then move to the next item. Was this not the last item, Peter?
Yes, Chair, that was the last item.
It was the last item. Colleagues, thank you very much for your time. Thanks to Mr. Mutle for standing in once I was attending to another urgent meeting. With that, colleagues, thank you very much until we meet again next week, Thursday.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, colleagues.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Talo.
Thank you.
Ra leboga bahladi.